welcome everyone. This is a great day in the city of Lancaster and the Antelope Valley. There's a saying that says, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And this was not easy in a lot of ways. There's a lot of people to thank. The staff at City of Lancaster did a great job. General Motors stuck the whole way. There were a lot of attorneys involved. I'd like to especially say our city attorneys, Allison Burns and Dave McEwen, did a great job. Our council was incredible. Mayor Paris and the council throughout this providing leadership to get us to this point. But the people that I think that deserve the most credit are Lou and Joyce. They're people of vision and integrity. And while all of us wanted this deal to come together, they were the people in a poker parlance that were all in. They were literally all in. And they were the first people, every time we would get to a roadblock, they were the first one leading us out saying, no, we're going to do it this way, or here's how we're going to fix this, or here's what we're going to do. And that's not easy to do. The mayor and I have had a lot of conversations about the economy, and he's always asked, and we have good conversations, what's going to get us out of the recession? And we're thinking macro level. Well, I finally have a good answer. It's people like Lou and Joyce who are investing and creating jobs and expanding the economy. This is what's going to lead us to prosperity again. I am so happy to be here, and I really respect you and your wife, Joyce. Thank you. With that, I'd like to introduce our mayor, R. Rex Parris.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. You know, you could write a book about how this came about. It was a great story. It was a story of betrayal and friendships and new friendships, and there was a story, and I think we're all aware of a little bit of it. And the important thing I think we should be emphasizing today, that this is the Antelope Valley Chevrolet. It's not the Lancaster Chevrolet. It's the Antelope Valley Chevrolet. And, you know, Lou had to undergo an incredible battle to bring it here. But he didn't initially, that wasn't initially his plan. You know, I don't think people understand who Lou is. If all of the Saturn dealerships were run like his dealership in an area that really shouldn't be selling a lot of cars, given our unemployment and everything else, Saturn would still be a viable concern. You know, it would still be going great guns, because he sold more Saturns than anyone. And he sold them up here in the Antelope Valley. And so when the economy tanked and they split up GM and he had the opportunity to get Chevrolet, he actually did everything he could to stay where he was. And it was just made impossible to do that. And then he came to us. And people have to understand that story. It wasn't anybody going over and enticing him to come. But boy, are we glad he came. You know? It was just 6 months ago that this whole, auto mall looked distressed. It really did. I mean, we had all these vacant buildings. Now we're figuring out ways to build new ones, all within 6 months. And now we've got a flagship that, along with the other dealerships here, we got all the players. If you want to buy a car, this is where people are going to come. And that's why it's the Antelope Valley Mall. And I suspect it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But, it would have been very easy for him to have folded. Incredible forces went into play. I mean, he was in state court, he was in federal court, he was getting bad press, and he just fought it out. And he knew that coming here, this dealership will thrive. And I suspect that it's going to be just not the Chevy dealership pretty soon, the way he grows. But for sticking with us and for fighting to be here and remember what happened. I mean, he was offered $650,000 to come here. They made it so he couldn't take that $650,000. He came anyway. I mean, who does that? Who does that is somebody who says, people aren't going to tell me how to run my business. This is America, it's free enterprise, and I will run my business the way I think it needs to be run in order for it to thrive. And he stuck by those guns, and here he is today. And he is one of the few recipients of the Key to the City. And the reason he's getting the Key to the City is not because he brought Chevy to Lancaster. It's because of the fight he fought to do that and to maintain his integrity every step of the way and to say this is right, and by God, no matter what, we're going to do what is right. And if we all had that level of courage, this place would blossom in days rather than months. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wow. That's a tough act to follow. You know, the people I really want to acknowledge here today, the mayor and our great city manager, Mark Bozigian, have made some statements about, not only my willingness to make this business venture happen, but as well as my wife, Joyce. But, there's an untold story behind this whole thing, because 17 months ago, we were alerted that Saturn was no more. We weren't going to have a dealership. And we had a lot of employees that I had to convince to hang in there, that I was going to figure this out and that I was going to keep them employed, and they were going to maintain their payroll, their benefits, their 401k package, their everything. And, that to me, I will never forget. Everything else between lawsuits and everything, I've already forgot. But those employees who you see standing in this room in here, I couldn't have pulled this off if they bailed. And they stuck, every one of them, all my salespeople, all our technicians, our parts and service people, service advisors, our janitors, not one of them quit. And so sometimes I think about that, and those nights at 2 in the morning when I couldn't sleep over this, it wasn't because the unknown, it was the unknown what I was going to be able to provide for my employees. And so, both Joyce and I had a real challenge with that. But now, I go back to an old movie where he says, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Well, I love the smell of Chevrolets in the morning at Antelope Valley Chevrolet and the great Lancaster Auto Mall, and we look forward to selling a lot of Chevys and a lot of quality pre-owned cars. And we've already had a service drive of customers. The first one was here at 6 o'clock this morning because our flyer said 6, and so one of my great employees, Carl, showed up at 5:30 and made sure that somebody was here, and the air guns were swinging early. I also want to address our council of Lancaster, and they've said that I hung in there, but they hung in there with me as well. And it's a great city to work with. I know some of these folks personally. Marvin Christ and I have been business acquaintances for close to 20 years. One of the first people I met when I first came to this valley in 1988 and went to work for Mike Johnson at Antelope Valley Ford on 23rd Street West. And just like Mayor Paris says, I consider this, and the reason I called it Antelope Valley Chevrolet is that the Antelope Valley is my community. Not Lancaster, not Palmdale, or not Quartz Hill or Little Rock, it's the Antelope Valley has given my wife and I and my family everything that we have today. Everything. From the thousands of cars, we were adding them up the other day, and I think that somewhere in the vicinity of 27,000 automobiles have been sold either through myself as a sales associate or through my company. And, that's a lot of cars. And the residents of the Antelope Valley have helped provide my family with our dream. And our dream was to really get here and be a Chevrolet dealer when the opportunity arose. And just like our mayor stated, I tried everything I could to stay in Palmdale, and the first words I said to them when I met with these great folks was, I don't want to have to come to Lancaster. I'd rather stay where I'm at. It just didn't work out. It was just a business decision, and it wasn't anything that anybody did bad or anything. But I just appreciate so much that the city of Lancaster welcomed me, my family, and my employees here. And the train has arrived. You can see two great Chevrolets already, a Camaro and a Corvette right here in the showroom, and we're very excited, and I want to say thank you very much for everything, and this is a great surprise, and that's the first key to a city I've ever had, and it comes from Lancaster, so thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I think the one thing we can say about Louis, he's got a real can-do spirit. What do you say? Your hand right there. Thank you so much, Lou. And I'd also, on behalf of my business, we've had a lot of good business relationship with Lou. He does a great job. And these are the kind of businesses that really, I think, add to our community. And one thing on the downside, you know, I've always wanted a Corvette, and you're just right down the street from my office, so you're making it hard on me. So
Thank you
thanks a lot.
very much. I
Thanks
really
a lot.
appreciate
Thanks a
it.
lot.
You know, part of the story about how this really came about was, you know, all of you are aware, we started opening up commissions and putting citizens on those commissions and in ways that had never been done before. And so we now have a lot of people who are actively engaged in improving the cities. One of those people was Marvin Christ, who was on the Criminal Justice Commission and then ran for council and is now on the council. What we saw when we did that was a lot of unexpected returns. You know, when we initially did it, we had specific goals we wanted them to accomplish. And what we found was that we now have a network throughout this community that we never really had before. We have people in every facet of this community that are directly tied to the city, directly have a position in the city. And that was the case with Marvin on the Criminal Justice Commission, and then he ran for council. And he has this incredible relationship with some of the business community, especially the auto dealers. It's a long-term relationship that, you know, it takes years and years to build that level of trust so you can have, you know, conversations that you can have with people who trust you. And it was a result of that this really all came about. If that relationship had not existed, I don't know that we would have weathered the storm or even have started the conversation. And it's really a credit to Marvin that he was able to keep this thing together in the face of so much adversity. And it's also a testament to what's happening in the city. This is becoming our city. You know, it's not just a few people running it. There's an incredible number of people that have direct involvement into the well-being and the decisions that are being made. And as a result, we now have a community involvement we just never had before. And I want to thank you, Marvin, for being such an integral part of this. Thank you.